This Dark Shroud.
The This Dark Shroud project was born one day in the summer of 2017, whilst playing around in the loop library in Logic, creating the seminal track Undo Logic, the first ever track I published on the moniker This Dark Shroud. The name itself comes from a lyric taken from my solo of mid-tempo dark electronic music track Black Mirror, written prior year and then rearranged and recorded in Logic with a keyboard earlier in 2017. The initial idea for TDS, though at the time a solo side project, was that it would feature music that was quite abstract, beat heavy, even industrial, as its influence sound-wise and conceptually. Artists such as Nine Inch Nails, Toil, and Skinny Puppy, then material While it was as true then as it is now, as Lowe, I also recorded various kinds of experimental. The TDS albums, especially later on, were essentially remixed and already Lowe is solo LP. Except now, they would have their own TDS versions instead of the context. For example, not real as beats and background vectors, slow verbs, completely different atmosphere. Hate and rage is obvious, darker, documentary arts rather than a mix of the world is an illusion based from my acoustic versions of chaos and turns them into two instrumental interludes, and so on. During the first phase of TDS, which I considered as last day phase of TDS, roughly a year and a half from its inception with Undo, the first EP, which was later expanded into an LP, until late 2018, I created no less than 6 LPs as This Dark Shroud. The first batch of LPs included many of the types of tracks I have heretofore described, remixed or rearranged things. I was doing these Marc Lowe in a darker, more decadent style, along with pieces such as Undo. But they also included many other original compositions made as and for TDS, such as Interior, As and Exterior, Escapes, What Was Her Name, Invisible, No Exit, and so on. By the time I got to the final TDS LPs, I would produce solo tracks. I was creating longer soundscapes such as Dust, which, in its full version, is over 20 dots in length. For this reason, perhaps, my bassist with whom I had collaborated would frequently refer to my TDS material as particularly film. And this is where Joe enters more fully into this Dark Shroud story that is herein represented in sound on the retrospective compilations produced. By 2019, Joe showed first in the rocking trio of the guitarist Tom. Around the same time, in fact, I had just started recording under the Mr. moniker with Undo in the first and then as I do it, we had considered Blue Skulls and then Lowe and Short. That is, until one fateful day that finally Lowe offered an idea. How about taking This Dark Shroud to a dual project? First joke is hesitating, thinking perhaps that TDS was my baby and was something that was moving to dark soundscape rather than performing raw stage. And we played shows together friends of ours, recording at my home studio. Trio that peaks Joe would bring his bass, his guitar bass, plays another to record using the guitar amp, a huge vector pedal in order to achieve bass plus that's all in the beginning, Joe would mostly work songs, digital errors, record them with the tracks, Lowe, so-called, playing along with a click, headphones, and I would later arrange the songs with his parts, often with the effectorizer. Eventually, we would start sitting together at my place. He would advise me how he wanted or didn't want something to sound, or give suggestions about how to arrange things for our duo versions, and then I would further mix my own parts from how they sounded in the Lowe versions to create the new Dark Shroud version. After having recorded together for a while, we began creating brand material of our own for the project. Songs such as Prism, which is on the compilation, where Joe is singing some lead vocals in a Marilyn Manson type voice. For the first of two retrospective LPs, I selected those tracks from a fairly large pool of songs and demos, which I feel have that This Dark Shroud circa 2019 sound going for them. Most especially tracks like Lost Control, The Scar, The Dials in the Bathroom, and of course Black Man. I also included some alternative mixes that have never before been released officially, such as the fragmentary experimental outtake screen, such in fact I just recently discovered the alt mix of 3 or the second of 2 mixes I had done for the spoken word track. And in October of 2019, I left Fukuoka for Tokyo for work, and I thought that the tedious project was finished more or less for good. But then, in 2023, I decided to revive this Dark Shroud project. This was in the spring of 2023, and it was the first time I thought about doing it again since my duo project after I'd come to Tokyo. Today it continues as an off and on solo side project, depending on my mood, the tides, the moon, various other topics. Why did I revive it? Well, this is a long story, one best saved for a time. I've discussed this in various talk videos on my page. In short, the composition of what I had intended as a deep heavy track, which became Vanity, reminded me so much of the initial iteration of Teen Wolf. Reminded me that I almost had no choice but to publish it as This Dark Shroud, and thus began Revival. But the second retrospective. One of the questions I posed last year as part of the Lennox spoken word track, not included on the compilation, but one can find on
it's the end of this.
Is what is this Dark Shroud mean? In other words, what does TBS, this Dark Shroud, mean to me today?
Please don't give me any more.
Well, when is today anyway? Tomorrow, today, well, what was yesterday?
Wasn't right. Signing all that stuff.
So, well, yes. Its definition of this Dark Shroud is ever changing, evolving, but the music itself is evolving. Hopefully, this compilation is made retrospective 2, and the compilation that precedes it, compilation 2019, will serve as a document that will make this evolution clearer to the listener. That will he or she will have the time to concentration and with an interest in the dots for him himself. In any case, with this updated version of this Dark Shroud, 2024 started, or better to say, perhaps rebooted, called in the spring last year with the track Cavity, which I consider the cosmic to do. The project has frankly increasingly become more and more difficult, even for its creator, to distinguish this Dark Shroud from Lowe. The music I've recorded performed live as Marc Lowe has become much more improvisational, experimental, especially from COVID video times. So some of the TBS material here, especially those things that have a source material couched in the past. Such as the bulk of the material I recorded or re-recorded for the 9 material actually seem to me now less expensive than much other things I've been listening to Marc Lowe in the past few years. This is ironic, since the first iteration of the Dark Shroud solo was more experimental, as well as darker and more industrial than the Marc Lowe material I was making at the time. That being said, the material from this Dark Shroud, that is 2024, this year, which includes the LPs The Unbecoming, the very recently completed Melting Point LP, and the long form in the studio improvisation form, definitely I would say falls more on the experimental side of my music, falls more on this Dark Shroud music I've made. Or does it? Or rather, is there even a difference between this Dark Shroud and Marc Lowe anymore? Well, no, and also yes. And this Dark Shroud is this Dark Shroud and Marc Lowe. But this Dark Shroud is also Marc Lowe, and Marc Lowe is certainly also this Dark Shroud. You won't hear me doing any acoustic-only songs as this Dark Shroud, but you can at times as Marc Lowe. That being said, you also, won't hear me with the featherized voice this Dark Shroud. Refrain of a Marc Lowe piece. However, you might infer reference to my darker side project, the spoken word with the Marc Lowe album, and you can also refer to myself. Marc Lowe, or Marc, I am some of the Dark Shroud material, some of the remixes. For example, as part of the spoken word samples in Nightwalk, and so on. For the second of two retrospective compilations, which tells essentially that one can say roughly 1/2 of or somewhere else in the judgment, 50% or 47% given. Before this Dark Shroud, just the way it was. 1/2 is before the Dark Shroud. I included nearly everything in that cryptic event. It's just a monitor, though I did use Note that the latter compilation also includes additions to tracks on albums heard for new previously unavailable rolling material, including a new interpretation errors that originally composed initially solo and re-recorded as well as non-entities reinterpreted and now, to conclude, let me also add that the former collaborator, Joshua was joining on stage for this first track in Polka was last summer. this time around, so, the videos for the